Hi everyone. Super great to meet all of you. I hope you are hungry and thirsty because at the end we're gonna have some pizza and drinks. And today is quite a sunny day as you can see, so I hope you're gonna enjoy it. So quickly, I'm just gonna explain what we are about to do this evening, and then I'll hand over the mic to Malik. So the idea is to do a quick intro on what's the goal of this event, why we are doing this, and then we're gonna try to do a group photo. Maybe not today. I mean, not today, not right now, because the photograph is not there already. So we'll do it at the end, just before the pizza and drinks. Then the idea is for Alan to do a quick intro on what they are doing, what they have been up to. We have Paul as well from Cursor over there that will be there with us for 30 minutes. You're going to do a quick presentation. And then if you have questions, he likes a lot the questions. So please feel free to ask any question you may have. And then we'll do a quick talk by Alan as well. They're going to introduce some stuff, how they've been working with Cursor so far. And we'll have the CEO as well and founder of Fiberplane, and that will talk about agents and how he's been building with Cursor. And then we have the pizza, drinks, and conversations. So just quick intro on who I am. So I was a private equity investor before, mainly investing in tech and consumer. And then I discovered Cursor. I was an early user in Cursor. Right now I'm doing finance and tech advisory. And the goal of doing this event is that many more will come. We've been doing Cafe Cursor and the meetup in March. And the goal is just to connect all of you guys together, enjoy a great time, and make sure that you learn some new stuff.
Okay, hello everyone. Really happy to be there. To introduce myself really quickly, I've been working as a founding engineer in an AI startup last year. And now I'm pushing Cursor in Paris and organizing a lot of events like this, so I hope you will like it. And I will just let the mic to Louis to present the Alan team and what they are building. And I really want to thank Alan because they host us today, so I really thank you for them.
I send it to you. Yeah, let me do it. The last one I sent. Hello. So as you can see, I don't have my slides, so I'll try to remember everything I wrote on them, and I'll try to make you enjoy this little presentation. I'm Louis. I'm a software engineer at Alan for 2 years almost now. I mainly work on automating fraud investigations. But let's not speak about me. Let's speak about Alan. Quickly, Alan, our mission is to help people live to 100 in good mental and physical health. How we want to do it is by making healthcare more affordable and accessible to the most people possible. All that, we want to do it with an approach that is based on prevention. So we do not only help you when you are sick, we help you not get sick. Slide 2, let me think. Okay, we do three things at Alan. It's a bundle. We offer health insurance, health services, and as I said, with a prevention. Thanks. All that in prevention, with a prevention approach. So the health insurance, to give you a few numbers, if you submit health claims, 70% of our claims are reimbursed within 5 minutes. And 97% of them are reimbursed within 1 day. We also managed to automate 40% of our care contact with AI. And our net promoter score is 68, while the industry average is -11. As I said, we also offer health services. So for example, when you have the Alan app, you have directly access to an AI doctor 24/7. You also have access to more than 100 health practitioners through a chat or teleconsultation. Of course, you also have a shop where you can get your glasses, contact lenses, and other healthcare products. And finally, as I said, there is this whole thing where we try to make healthcare or taking care of your health more easier. So last year we launched Alan Play. The whole goal of Alan Play is to make taking care of your health funnier, which means thanks to gamification, we managed to help people take care of their health by walking more, making more sports, meditation, journaling. We've noticed an increase for our users. They are walking 1,000 steps more per day when they engage with our app. We also have 30 weekly active users that are taking care of their health. Next slide. A few numbers about Alan. We today in 2026, more than 1 million people are insured by Alan across 4 countries: France, Belgium, Spain, and Canada, and soon many more. It represents 800 million euros in annual recurring revenue. And we have around 800 Alaners working in this company. So this was the corporate talk to present Alan. Let me tell you very briefly why I like working in this company. 3 things. You're part of the mission that is shaping the future of healthcare. You're in a company where the culture is unique and dense, and you have the ability to create and evolve your own role. So Alan, as I said, we are not a normal health insurance. We are a prevention health insurance. We help you not get sick. And it's a really nice alignment of incentives, because we help you not get sick, which means you cost less, which means our price decrease, which means we can offer our services to more people. The culture is the most interesting aspect. The 3 most important aspects, according myself, in the culture are the radical transparency, the written culture, and the distributed ownership. Transparency means that there is no private message. You can see everything that is written. You can read very important decisions that are taken, discover about new explorations. Everything is public. And the fact that everything is written and transparent helps you become autonomous on every problem you own. At Alan, you are owner of your work. You make all the decisions. You have no boss telling you what to do, which also helps you to create your own role. It means, like, we don't hire roles, we hire people. We don't put you in a box. We make sure you can grow in the company, and every quarter you can tackle new project related to anything you want: mentoring, coaching, hiring. You can share. You can grow really the way you want to, if it helps Alan to grow too. This is why every quarter feels like a new adventure, and why I like working here. And it's also the reason why you maybe would like it to work here too. Okay, I'm a bit stressed, but this was my last words. Thanks a lot, and now, thank you.
Thanks, Louis. I think I saw the photographer. Where is the photograph? Come here. We're gonna do the picture now, the group photo. Dun, 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 dun. Okay, guys, you need to be excited in the photo, right? Because it seems that everyone is sleepy right now. Let's put the arm in the hair. Okay, let's go. I see some arms in the background. Okay, thanks. Thanks to the photographer for these nice pictures. All right, we're gonna talk more seriously right now. So Paul Dumet is a field engineer at Cursor, and he's specialized in DevOps and cybersecurity. Here you go, Paul.
Thank you. Hello. I had no idea it was in English. I had prepared the best introduction, and I mean the best, but it's in French. How many like just English speakers to see? Oh, there are too many. I really can't do the joke. Okay, for next time. It's a long joke. It's a great joke. Everyone will laugh, but too long. Okay, I'm going to tell a story instead, right? It's the story about remontada. How do you say remontada in English? Help me. No idea. A comeback, yeah. It's a great comeback I witnessed last week with Cursor. Great story. So basically, I'm a field engineer. Yeah, I'm a field engineer at Cursor. Field means customer, like I'm helping customers adopt Cursor, integrate into the architecture, etc., etc. As part of this role, a customer organized a hackathon, right? Everyone is familiar with hackathons? Who's ever won a hackathon? Ooh, a few ones. I'm going to tell you something. It's way harder now to win a hackathon. I thought like if you work a bit, if you are like actually involved, you get a prize, but no, like it's competitive now. And other thing, as a facilitator, usually you start the hackathon by saying, okay, you're going to click here, do this, hey, pay attention, please stay, etc. But now with Cursor and other tools, people are locked in from start to finish. It's like even hard for me to pull them away from the computer and say, hey, do you need some help? Can I coach you? They're just like, I want to code, let me code. All right. So the hackathon began 12 teams, right? And competitive. At the end of 2 days, you present an application that you built with Cursor, with many tools. And it's a real life application, right? That's also a new thing about hackathons. It's a real app that you build from start to finish in 2 days, or a legacy app that you modernize, and the CTO lets you have access to the like real life production code so that you modernize it in 2 days. That's exciting, right? So everyone starts coding except one team. One team that came from a country where security rules are a bit tighter. And they were running into many, many different security issues, right? So every time they launch an agent, either it gets killed or the computer is banned or the account is blocked. And like hour after hour, they keep getting blocked and they can't start the hackathon, right? So we are all very embarrassed for them that they came all the way from a different part of Europe just to be like in security issues. And the whole day goes by and they do not write a single line of code, right? And you start seeing other teams developing an app, developing an API, migrating stuff, and they have just like zero. So at the end of the day, after they leave, we managed to get a hold of someone from security. And they offer kind of a solution, but it's kind of like a genius in a joke. They don't say, okay, we give you what you want. They say, we are going to give you, like, we are going to lift all the security constraints, but there's one condition, very weird. We are going to do it only for one laptop for the whole team. There are 5 of them, right? So they come back the next day, we're like, hey, you've got one computer, a Windows computer as well. And you're gonna have to, catch up to the others somehow. But they were resilient, combative, so they just started working. They didn't have a choice, right? It was very painful to watch. It was like, a video game with one controller and all the other saying, come on, give me the keyboard. I'm gonna do it better, So the hours passed, 10, 11, and hardly any features actually make it. Very embarrassing. And they start to shift the way they work, right? Because they have only 5 minutes on the computer, then they have to leave the spot to the next person. So they understand that synchronous work isn't great. They start to launch an agent in order for the agent to work in the background when they leave the seat. That's already a tiny bit better, right? So around lunch, they almost finish the first feature. Next slide. And let me use this as a visual support. They kind of go through the journey that some of our customers take 6 months, 1 year, 2 years on the maturity with AI, right? So at this point, at around noon, they went from AI as a pair programmer in a synchronous way to AI as a junior engineer, let's say, meaning I give a task, I delegate something, and it works in the background. Over lunch, they make progress. It's the constraints that make you invent great things. And when they come back, they start to work a bit differently. And quietly, they start to deliver features. And people start to gather around the computer, the one computer, to see like something happening. Because instead of just working on the feature generation, they started to code agents to review the code, to write some tests, but also to review the tests, to debug, etc., etc. So they are producing many agents, and they are like more and more on the right of AI as a junior engineer. It's like AI has many different engineers with different roles. And at some point, they decide that it's not enough to just trigger one agent. They have to trigger multiple agents that work together. And the way they did it, completely manual hack way, was to write handoffs in Markdown files where an agent, when it finishes, for instance, there's an agent that looks for bugs. At the end, the agent will write the context into a file for the agents that will actually fix it. And they start writing these handoffs. So now the time spent at the computer is not to it's not to work on the app, it's to work on the agent team and how they fit together. And around 3 p.m., they had shipped 3 features, still not a full app, but they had to make 8. But as soon as they started writing these handoffs, each time they went to the computer, it was to trigger 5, 10 different instances of the same agent. And then it started accelerating. And we didn't do it on purpose that they only had until 6 p.m. But like in the last 30 minutes, they were working on the last 3 features at once. And I promise there were 20 people around the computer going, ooh, are they going to make it or not? And like 5 minutes before the end, like everyone was looking to the one engineer who had the keyboard. And she looked at the app and she went, I think that's it, like it works. End to end, 8 features in just 1 day with one computer. So I'm going to spoil it and say that they did not win the hackathon, right? It was not a perfect remontada, but they finished second, right? They finished second when the other teams had worked for 2 days with many laptops, Mac laptops, Linux, etc. And they did all in one day with one Windows computer. That's amazing, and I want to break down, it's obviously the team who did it, the way of thinking, but there are some capabilities in the tools that make it easier to actually implement this. One is the cloud agents. By show of hand, who has already used the cloud agents? All right, I'd say about half. All right, cloud agents, if you used it, you remember, because the first time it's so crazy. Basically, it's a remote agent that runs in the background, right? It's in the cloud, but it could also be on your machine or self-hosted. The other thing is cloud agents, they have a whole environment, right? It's not just the agent writing code and ending with a PR. They have an environment where they can spin up the app and actually record a video. That's why we see a video of an agent inside a VM somewhere that's actually like opening the browser, clicking through the app and showing you that the feature you requested actually works. That's really crazy. Like I'm working on video stuff and it's like clicking on the video like a YouTuber and making sure that everything is tested. That's amazing. So that's, let's say, level 2, right? Level 1, I have my machine. I spin up a few agents in the background, but I have to keep the laptop open. I go to the meeting with the laptop open because something is running. Level 2 cloud agents, it's remote. I can close the computer knowing that it works. I can also write on Slack and ask my agent for something. I can dictate what I want. I can tweet at my agent, do this and that. So you don't even have to have a working environment yourself, which opens up a lot for non-developers. That's level 2. Level 3, to go a step beyond, right? Cloud agents, you have your agents with each one function, but you have to orchestrate them. Level 3, right, it's still cloud agents. Automations. Level 3, you take your agents and you have an orchestration layer that makes it so that agents work together from idea to production. The agent works as an engineering team, and you just review the feature once it's done. In order to have this, what you need is, you need triggers, right? You start the agent when someone files a bug in your system or when a PR is pushed. And in these triggers, you will implement your handoffs between agents, right? When one agent finishes, publishes a ticket or moves a ticket, which will trigger the next ones. An agent will write a comment and the next agent will be triggered, etc., etc. You also get cron jobs, right? Every day, fire an agent that reads the code, finds something that is not tested, write one test, suggest a better version of the code every day. That's level 3. There's a level 4 to go even beyond. And if we come back, level 4 is intended to move as an full engineering team delivering not one feature, but delivering a whole roadmap of features working together. Level 4 is not covered today, right? Because that's already a lot, but just a bit of teasing for those who follow, for the most advanced users. Level 4 leverages the SDK, and that's going to be the exciting stuff we talk about in the rest of the year, right? But I want to stay on level 3 and conclude, like looking back at this team, the message I want to leave you with today is that what the most advanced companies in the Silicon Valley have been doing for the last 6 months, 12 months, 18 months of generating this factory of agents working together. Well, now it's possible to do it with a team of 5 people, 1 laptop, right? No AI maturity whatsoever at the start. And even, I'm going to challenge you to find non-developer users who are probably going to be great at this because they are motivated, they know where they want to go, they know the feature they want to build. They do not have to have the technical knowledge to steer each agent. And now these kind of people, over 1 week with cloud agents, with automations, they're going to be able to have the same level of AI maturity as the best organizations on the planet right now. That's very cool. So I think, like, to each and every one of you who hasn't tried yet and who is not a developer, it's definitely the best time today to start building with AI. Thank you. Questions? Thank you. How much time do we have for questions?
We have plenty of time.
I try to be as slow as possible because I don't want questions. They wrote, like, come prepared with your most difficult questions. Like, that's a bit hard for me. All right, who wants to be first? Yes.
I saw there's a slide you mentioned about the events automation.
Events automation, yes.
Because I was running a webinar for Air Liquid, and I was wondering how it works. Like
How the event?
how can I use like these tools to help me to run my webinar, like automation?
To run a webinar?
Yeah. Because I saw the slide mention it's like events automation. So I want to know how can I use these tools to help me to run the events.
Okay, I think it's like
No.
a slightly different meaning of the word event, like a technical one, like events happening inside a machine, right? So it's definitely not gonna like help you plan the event, but yeah, it's a different meaning.
Oh,
my
okay,
friend.
sorry.
Thank you for the presentation. I wanted to ask if you could maybe give us an example of what do you think is a single agent task situation and what is a multiple agent task situation? Like, at what stage do I go from one agent to multiple agents?
Absolutely, that's a great question, and it takes a bit of feel to it, and that's why when you look at the maturity curve, when I work with teams who've never or almost never worked with AI, I recommend actually starting around assisted coding or prompted blocks, because this is when you're gonna get a feel for what the agent can do in one go and what's too much. So basically, as the agent works, it fills its context window. And when there's too much context, like a human would, it gets a bit lost. And it's too much. It can't keep up. It doesn't remember the instructions and everything it pulled, right? So it's hard to give an exact answer, but I'd recommend working with it and seeing when it's okay, an easy feature, a very simple debugging task, what you would do in typically 5 to 10 minutes of simple work. When it starts to get overwhelmed, then it's good to break it down. Yeah.
Thank you.
Hi, thank you for the for your message. I liked what you said about the non-dev because I come from a product management background and I can now create a multi-APIs automation with Cursor. So it's amazing what you are doing, and thanks to the whole team of Cursor. And my question is, there are a lot of informations. Sometimes it can be complex. Maybe for myself and for other people, what are the best ways and the leanest way to stay at the top of what we can do today? And maybe between following engineers on Twitter, following fund investment like Sequoia Capital on YouTube, what are your best way to stay at the top of what we can do and produce today?
Yeah, it's definitely incredibly hard to keep up, right? And usually when someone talks about a tool, you're like, oh, I tested it 2 months ago. It moved so much, you have to test it again. And you said you're a PM, right?
Yeah, coming from product management operations.
Nice. So developers, by the way, you should be afraid of these kind of profiles, right? Because they are motivated, they want to build something, they're gonna be unstoppable soon. So yeah, one thing is definitely testing tools, definitely watching Twitter. It's also a mindset at the individual level and at the company level, that you won't be able to go 100% with one product and say, okay, I'm set. I have the perfect setup. I have the best screen, the best keyboard, the best team topology, the best tooling. Now I have a software factory that works. I think in the very near future, organizations are going to shift a significant portion of their resources to continually test tools, test AI models, right? Because model selection is also part of this. And I think it's not a bad thing if you spend 10, 20% of your time challenging your tooling, your models, finding new ways. Now, there's definitely a second part of this, this question, which is how are we collectively going to share the information? At Cursor, we also face this. We want our engineers to benefit from what the others are building. So it definitely takes a new idea of what a marketplace would be, right, for plugins, but for knowledge of way of working. So we're definitely working on this, and I expect that in the following few months, you're going to see something come out of Cursor, something like pick up ways of working from our engineers. And so it's going to be a bit fluffy, not only a plugin or only an MCP or only a prompt. It's going to be a bit broader than this. So I'm teasing a bit on this one, but there's definitely something coming.
Thank you, very exciting.
Hello, and thank you for your speech. I just started using AI a few months ago, honestly, and I think I'm not the only one, but I'm kinda like love and hate with AI. Like sometimes like wow, it's amazing what it's capable of, and sometimes like what that garbage you just gave me, you know. And so that's one of the reasons why it's a bit hard for me to be at the autonomous development stage you speak a lot about, but I feel like it's the way of the future maybe. And so one of my question is, what are your techniques maybe at Cursor to like give a context and the right tools and the right orders to your AI to let it be free, but at the same time don't go crazy?
I love the love-hate relationship. Sounds heavy, like deep stuff. All right, so I think two patterns are useful. One, it's parallel run, because you never really know which model is the best. And it's really hard to, by the way, to create a model that's good at like picking the right model, a bit meta. So having multiple models in parallel is sometimes a good pattern if you can like discriminate. And cloud agents, by the way, you can run 3 in parallel, and each one will send you their video, and then you get to break the heart of 2 of them saying, not good enough, sorry, a bit sad. So that's the first part. The second one is a lot of focus on the review agent, review as a generic term, right? Different model that helps. Different model that watches the work of a previous one and that criticizes it, that tests it, try to break, try to, etc., etc. So you really have to think about the software development lifecycle, not as dev and then we push, but dev and then we challenge a lot and then we dev a bit more, etc., etc. So the alliance of these two patterns.
Thank you.
Hi. So my question was, can you tell us a bit more about your job? I don't understand. You're like more forward deployed engineer, more like solution architect, or you're just a Cursor teacher, or maybe a link between companies and Cursor? What do you do?
I definitely work for Cursor. At least I think so.
Yeah, I know, but the question was.
Yeah, I know. It's a bit like a solution architect. We used to say pre-sales, except like everyone has Cursor now. So it's a bit post-sales somehow. My job is to find the right patterns and help software engineering, software factory leaders, architect leaders, CTOs, to find the right patterns and apply them to their teams to get adoption. So part of it is giving a lot of energy to people so that they test, they start projects, ambitious projects, sitting in the backlog, they start it with Cursor, see how it goes. That's one part. And the second part is because of this maturity curve, it's very much a transformation that's going to happen in software factories. And when you have teams who manage to create guided feature generation agent factories, you can't treat them the same as your regular engineers because they're going to start producing features that are going to start to push 60, 70% of features without human intervention to production. So definitely these people need to think about how to restructure the teams, etc. That's also my job. Is it a bit clearer?
Yeah, it's a lot clearer.
Cool.
Thank you.
Can we say last question?
Yes, I was about to say last question.
Nice.
Yes, again, thank you for taking the time to meet with us. And I definitely feel the love-hate relationship to learning AI. My question is more about early engineers in their career and junior engineers. I'm in about my second year of working, and AI has really started to take off at the start of my career. And it's really changed like the landscape that I thought I was entering. I don't write lines of code anymore. I don't have to read TypeScript docs. And at least for me, sometimes it can kind of feel like, what is my role here now? So as somebody who is kind of at the forefront of seeing where AI is going, what do you think junior engineers or engineers early in their career can do to structure their career around the growth of AI? And like, what value do you think young engineers can still bring into the engineering space with this rapid development?
It's the question.
I want my job.
You got it.
All right, my personal belief, because it's about beliefs now. My belief is that if you manage to understand something, no matter which level, understand one pattern in code, in a framework, a language, in what can go wrong, if you manage to understand something, really understand it, that's going to be valuable, no matter the tooling, no matter what happens. That's, I think, what we need you to do. How you're going to build that skill is definitely going to be different. But I think the models can definitely help a lot. So in my personal experience, in order to understand how Cursor as a product works, I've set up an agent that every day gives me a 10-minute nugget of knowledge, right? So, hey, one interesting part of Cursor is that in order to autocomplete while someone is typing, we do A and B and C. And by the way, the code to do this is here and here. And a video demonstrating this is here. So it's like great value that you would hardly get in a traditional course, right? That's my 2 cents. I hope it helps.
Yeah.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you. I'm genuinely so happy to be here today. This is my first event with Cursor. So thank you so much for attending. Thank you for the questions. And thank you for organizer for setting this up. Thank you.
Thanks, Paul. Next up on this in team, we're going to talk about Alan's AI companion.
Yes, cool. Hey everyone, I'm Tim. I'm a software developer at Alan, working mainly on developer experience, AI, any kind of similar stuff. Today we're going to talk about a new tool we have at Alan, which is called Hopper. So Hopper is Alan's AI companion, and let me tell you a bit. Okay, that's about Alan. You heard that already. Let me tell you a bit about the life before Hopper. So before having such tool, the software development lifecycle was really into silos. We used to have stakeholders, product managers, any kind of persona doing the scope of some features. Then starting to hand over for the framing to either a PM or a designer, and then engineers focusing solely on engineering and the making of the feature. This created quite a lot of friction because there was a lot of back and forth, a lot of loss of context between the different teams. In 2025, a lot changed. There was the emergence of new models like Opus and of new amazing tools like Cursor, obviously, which allowed to bring AI into that software development lifecycle and really helping at any level. So it's when we decided, or actually our engineering lead was here, Alex, that we should change our mindset. It's not just about engineering building anymore. It's about everyone can build. The idea is really like code is becoming a shared interface where everyone can contribute because it's much easier than before to start to code because you have AI as a junior engineer you can use. So we got started with a few different initiatives. One is obviously to bring a lot more people on Cursor. So we started to onboard all designers, all product managers on the same environment as engineers. Basically, on their laptop, we installed Cursor and we told them, hey, you have access to the code base. You can start iterating on the product. You're basically a junior engineer now. It worked very well. It was very successful on a lot of parts. People were really loving the fact that they will become more autonomous. But the issue is that working with local environments for non-engineers is quite tricky. Like it can be hard to maintain. It can need a quite beefy machine. You have to educate people. People are not engineers. It's not because you start to ship code that you are an engineer. You need to learn how to test. You need to learn how to navigate a code base. And this doesn't come like magic. AI doesn't solve everything. There is also a security aspect. When stuff runs locally, you have no control over are you actually allowing Cursor to run any tools and always having, instead of reviewing what it tries to do, are you sending some secrets, some sensitive data to your AI, which is a major issue. We also tried another approach, which is to rely on a tool where we were already working with, which is Linear, which we use for any kind of either product management or ticketing or issues for a lot of different use cases. So we started to build our own background agents. It's quite similar to what Paul presented earlier with the Cursor Cloud Agent. It didn't exist for our use case at the time. But the idea is you have a place where you can trigger it, you can delegate the work, you can go back, live your life. You don't need a computer or anything. You can even do it from your phone if you want. And then you get a reply from the agent, either an investigation, a pull request or anything. So we started to build that on top of Cloud Code. And it was actually working very well. People were started to use it in Slack, in Linear. And it actually showed us that relying on background and cloud agents was kind of the way forward to be able to onboard more people as builder, less tech-savvy people. So people will start on such tools, delegate to the agents, then open a pull request, and then an engineer will bring it to the end to ship like the feature in production. What we saw is that people didn't just use it for coding use case. It went further than that, and they started to use them as productivity tooling. So we saw some people starting to frame some discussion, some issue, but not even about product building. It could be about writing a review or feedback to someone or anything. We also saw that AI is not helping just to build. So it's not only about everyone can build. It's actually about any craft because every skill is becoming more accessible. It doesn't mean that AI will make you replaced by something else or by anyone. You still have some expertise, but at a certain level, everyone can start to data, to prototype, to automate their workflow, or to run some discovery about the market, for instance. All of that was already possible to do, but it was super fragmented. Basically, we had some tools like Linear where we could start for coding use case. We would have Cursor for the same use case locally for mostly engineers. We'll start to have Metabase, which is run for data, to run some analysis on the company data, Figma for live prototyping, or more recently, Cloud Cowork for productivity use case. Another thing we were asking yourself is about the trust and security aspect. We do put a lot of trust in Alaners. We do believe on individuals, but a mistake can always happen, and we had no control over that. So we need a story where we're in control of the residency of the data to make sure it stays in Europe, it stays in compliance in terms of hosting. We need to make sure that no data can leak in any way, either sensitive data from our members or a password or whatever. And we also need to make sure we can track back to who did what and why, to make sure we can know what happens in our systems. One last learning is there is a lot of stuff happening, and frontier labs around AI are shipping amazing stuff, amazing ecosystems. For instance, if we take Anthropic as an example, they have great model with Claude, with Opus or Sonnet. They have a Claude Code, which is working very well, Claude Cowork and that kind of stuff. But once you buy in, you're locked. Basically, if you start to optimize your workflow for Claude Cowork, and one day you want to start to use another model like, I don't know, Cursor Composer, you can't, or you have to switch back everything. So it becomes a risk because you're not free to do whatever you want. And it's when we started to work on Hopper, which is this cute little furry ball. Hopper is basically our own background agent. It started as a coding background agent, mostly. So it's very similar, again, to Cursor background agent for that aspect. It's a tool where you have an interface. You can talk to it. You can talk to it from Slack, from Linear. You can ask it to open pull requests to test what it did and that kind of stuff. I won't do the whole story that Paul just did. And it really helped to unify. Basically, you start losing context because everything happens at the same place. You can start, for instance, exploring and querying your company data. You can start iterating on how to shape a feature, and then you can start designing like really inside your same tool. And it lives where you work, so it has a whole company context. As Alan, we are as transparent as possible internally. So every Hopper session is multiplayer and transparent by design. The idea is that we believe knowledge from AI can compound. When you see someone from your company having a great use case to becoming better, to advance and to automate themselves, everyone who sees it can learn from it and even improve that workflow. So in the end, we want people to see it. It also allows to share, like, you can start as an engineer to code a feature, but before you would hand it over to the designer for review, he will say, hey, you need to tweak that design, and you go back to coding. But here you can just give the session to your designers, they will see the results, they will iterate, and there is less friction and less loss of context. So we also made it so it's very useful for all roles. It's not just a coding agent. We started from the promise to make everyone build, but now it's really more than that. So we see engineers like investigating incidents, opening pull requests and coding, but we also see data asking questions, testing some hypotheses, product running some prototyping, and even other completely different persona like sales who could prepare a call to research for a company. But Hopper is more than a product. The way we build it, it's a set of bricks which are independent, will really take shape when they go together. So we build it as a platform where we wanted to de-risk a moving market. So every month there is something new, and it's more every couple of days. There is a new model, a new harness, a new way of working, a new workflow, and it's risky for a company to go all in on all of that. So if you build individual bricks that you can plug and replace, you basically de-risk all of that. One of the big aspects, sorry for the people slightly less technical, is to have a custom MCP gateway. The MCP is how your cursor or your agent talks to any third party where there is context, to call Notion, to call Slack, or internal tools. And so one of the first thing we've been building is a gateway that we can plug to Hopper so it can use it, but also to other tools. Like if you're still working on Cloud Code, on Cowork, on Cursor, you can definitely use it and you benefit from all of it. And all of it manages all your connections. You don't have to re-log in the tools like on every single client. It manages the security aspect, making sure that we don't leak that data from the clients to the provider giving you the AI inference or to the third-party tools. So the composable bricks is what keeps us very adaptable now. We can swap models, like today we use a lot Anthropic model, for instance, but they are not the only ones that are very good, and we can easily swap to any other model. We run on open code, but since now Cursor has a SDK, we could also swap that part and still benefit from the whole ecosystem we've built. It's really tooling agnostic. We're still in the process because like 6 months ago, Hopper wasn't even remotely on our roadmap. Everything changed way too fast. But we've been building that and we'll continue investing. Some of it is live, something is construction. And we're considering also open sourcing some of it because we do want something that's really like the one companion that's for EU health systems, because we are very constrained on that front and we want to be irreproachable and to make sure nothing can leak anywhere. So if you're interested in building it with us, come talk to us. We have open source topics to discuss. And that's it.
Thanks. No question for Tim? And then we'll move to Misha.
Hello. Thank you a lot for your field experience. I wanted to know, has been a trigger for moving from local laptop to into like a dedicated platform? Because for us, we are way smaller, and committing to something is a risk for us, as you explained. So, what has been the trigger, if any, like to decide to build that?
So for us, it's really a mix. I don't believe that will replace fully a local environment. This is still super useful. For us, the trigger was mostly to onboard non-engineers. With an application the size of Alan, it's quite massive. It has a lot of constraint dependencies, whatever. It's quite tricky to get it installed and maintained on someone that's less technical. So the first thing was really to make sure that any profile, any job at Alan could onboard in one click. You don't have to think about the local environment. But we still maintain local environment for engineers and some more tech-savvy product profiles.
Okay, thank you very much, and great work.
Hi, and thanks for the presentation. I have one question around the environments you built. So the agents actually is coding on one application. I don't know if you have a monolithic application, but does the environment contains like a subset of application? Is a multi-service one or just one code base?
It's one code base, but Alan is working on a single big code base, so it's easier.
Okay, you don't have any external service like databases or whatsoever?
We do have some, but basically what we do is we build the same exact, we have one single development environment, even in local, with everything in it, like code base, Redis cluster, and everything. And we do build that for in a container, and we use that also for Hopper.
And for data, you have kind of a snapshot of the data that you use for.
Yes, so that's a different service we have, but even for devs, we do have some a snapshot of anonymized snapshot of part of our database to be able to work with production-like data, but definitely not production data.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I'm curious about your linear integration. So you write a prompt in the issue, every in this, and then you set an assignee as an agent. How does it work?
It's an API from Linear. Now you can build agents in Linear. You don't even have to prompt it. You can just assign it, or you can do @Hopper like you will ping anyone, and it will delegate to us, and we just interact with Linear through an API. It's but yeah, it's basically we assign to it, and it handles the tickets.
Okay, thanks.
Hi. You mentioned, so you switched from a numerous of toolings to Hopper, basically. And how was the adoption or the difference of friction between having a lot of tooling to one? Does Hopper have been like welcomed, everything was positive, or you have like some negative things happening?
That's a good question. First, we haven't stopped using the other tools for now. We still run them in parallel while we keep building more features inside Hopper, because the goal of Hopper is to make people more productive. So we want to make sure that it's able to handle all their productivity workflow. But what we saw actually, before we wanted to replace some of the tools, we saw people trying to do the same thing in Hopper and basically missing just one or two features. So it helped us drive the roadmap and say, okay, people are already trying to replace that by Hopper, and we didn't even plan for replacing that. So we integrated it. But we'll see the day we fully switch everything. It might be a different story, I don't know. But adoption has been quite good. And just one more thing on that, we don't plan on actually having all the features from these other products. That's not the idea. We can't fight against, Anthropic building Cloud Cowork, and it's not the goal. It's more we plan to build more consciously, basically to focus on what really matters for us.
Hi, that's not much a technical question. Louis said earlier that one of your missions was about the mental health. And my question was more about how do you keep your team mental health good when everything is going so fast. You can ship a lot within a second, and in the past it wasn't like this. It was like you were working on a subject for a day, and you had this dopamine where you had the success of doing the task. How do you manage to keep everyone entertained and in good mental health?
That's a tricky one. We don't have a full story for that, to be completely honest. It's something we still learn as we go. what we do is we try to keep people focused. It's not because we have AI that we need to do everything and build everything. That's not the idea. It's just that you can build better because you have something to assist you. It doesn't mean you have to build 10 features in parallel. You can if you want, and if you, I mean, some people love multitasking. I'm not part of those people, actually, but still you can benefit from it. And it's more a matter of you don't want to push AI just for the sake of everyone should use AI and you should use 10 parallel sessions at the same time. It's more like, okay, how can we integrate AI in a conscious and sane way in our workflow? But to be completely honest, I think sometime at some point, someone will probably burn out because of that, because we don't know yet how to fully protect ourselves, and it's something we really want to invest into making better, because we believe it's going to be a massive issue overall in the ecosystem in the years to come.
Thank you.
Thank you a lot for the presentation. It's super interesting. I wonder, do you think you managed to create an environment that is completely safe from mistakes from your coworker, or and without any time lost sometimes? Because I know now software developers can be maybe 10 times more productive. So I think, don't you think sometimes it would have been better if you have done the task rather than someone, and maybe you have to back a mistake someone made?
I'm not sure to fully get what you mean.
Is the result of putting everyone as a software participant, is it completely positive?
Putting everyone as a software developer, no. For us, no, it's not positive, and it's not fully what we're pushing for. We want people to have agents that can help you in your day-to-day, and I think most of the people can contribute to the product without being a software engineer. To give you an example, if someone from care, from your customer support, receive a feedback about, I don't know, a wording that's wrong or a mistake, it doesn't bring any value to file a ticket, bring an engineer and do it. And it's not really, you don't need a big engineering mindset to do it. You can just do it and send the result to an engineer and you call it a day. But we won't have that same care people try to build really stronger features. That's not the idea. We will break some silos. I think we had a great example before from someone coming from a PM background, becoming basically an engineer. But it doesn't mean people on the far end of the building spectrum will become engineers tomorrow. And it will, if we do that, will bring more friction, because basically you'll ship stuff that's not necessarily good, as you said, not everything ends up safe, or you will spend your engineers, like the expert, will spend all the time just reviewing and fixing mistakes, and you don't want that. So it's not about making everyone at the same level of engineering.
Thank you.
All right, last question.
Hi, thank you for the presentation. My question was about something linked to the previous one. How do you deal with reviews, actually, peer pull request reviews? Does Hopper does this alongside your engineer? And yeah, do you have some strategy about making good slices, you know, about features to improve it?
So for now, all our code reviews are still fully manual with a human in the loop. Every line of code is supposed to be reviewed. We're currently looking into how we want to change that with two levels, basically. One is having a pre-pass basically made by agents. So close to what Paul said, like having, even if you have an agent implement some things, then you can have many agents challenge it until they are all satisfied in some way. So you bring something to the human in a better shape. And after, it's more about how do you assist the human to review the code. And here Hopper has also a part to play in that, to do a semantic review stuff where you group indeed part of code, where you start to be okay with, okay, it's just a word change. Does it really need to be reviewed by a human? But there is also still a big compliance story. We still work in a system that's quite regulated. So we're still playing around with to see really what we can, and reviews are becoming a bottleneck.
Thanks a lot. Now, so the next talk is, so we're gonna welcome Micha, that will talk about how they learn turning agent work into a non-supervised software, especially using Cursor.
Thank you. I brought a buddy. It's Brett. So basically you get 2 for the price of 1. Cool. Does this need to get bigger?
No. Maybe?
For the crowd?
Before we start, I wanted to ask, so who is an engineer? Like works at, okay, woo, all right. Who uses Cursor as their like daily, okay, that's a lot, that makes sense. Who uses Codex? Okay, it's okay, you don't have to be shy about it. We all use different tools. Who uses Claude Code? Oh my gosh, that is that is a lot. Okay.
Who uses Codex for Mac, the Mac app?
Oh wow, it's very good. That guy knows. Okay, sorry, that was just to establish a baseline. I'm glad there are a lot of engineers, because if there weren't, this would be a very long talk. Oh, also, the last thing, the term software factory, does that ring a bell? Does that mean anything to anyone?
Apart from the
One
talks.
nod. What's that?
Apart from the talks just now.
Apart from the talks just now, but no one said factory, did they?
A little bit.
Okay. Okay, so factory is like level 5, level 6 from Paul's talk, where it's just like autonomous work is happening. And that's what we're going to talk about, level 5 and level 6. Okay, one more improvisational thing. Okay, someone over here asked about being frustrated with like garbage coming from AI. Yeah, okay. And then someone over here asked, what is my job as an engineer? You, okay. Those 2 things are related. We'll put a little bit, this will be sprinkled throughout, but your job as an engineer is to make sure that he does not produce garbage. And to make sure the agent doesn't produce garbage. And part of that is making sure that what the agent can produce, it knows good from bad, it knows how to verify its work, to prove to itself that it's done the right thing. And so this comes directly from the Codex team and an internal team at OpenAI, which is like, after, and we'll talk about this a bit more, but after a while of trying to make their code base self-driving, that was their goal. They went very slow at first, and they found that the engineering work, after a couple of weeks, became more designing guardrails, designing tools, designing ways to inspect the application, and then the rest kind of came naturally. So that's a good learning to keep in mind. Sorry, there's a lot of rambling. All right, let's go.
I think somebody also talked about AI or coworkers AI producing garbage.
Yes. Okay.
Yeah, so we're from a company called Fiberplane, where we're thinking a lot about building a software factory. And we're approaching it a little bit, I guess, same as the Hopper crew, where we're thinking about different primitives. So not just one big factory to produce code, but different primitives, components that make up the factory. And one thing that we're definitely not focused on is the agent itself, right? So that remains Codex or Claude or whatever catches your attention. So we have a few different components making up the factory. We'll be creating more, but one critical component is a tool called FP, which is basically a bit like Linear, but more agent native issue tracking. We have an open source tool called Drift, which helps with, as the agent produces a lot of markdown and documentation nowadays, how you maintain sync with your code and your documentation. And we have a tool called Tarmac that we'll be presenting today, which is an orchestrator for background agent work. And then somebody asked about code review as well. And nowadays, you're no longer reading these large diffs. But what are you interested in? You're interested in sort of the proof. Show me the evidence, what the agent produced. So this could be screenshots, videos, etc. So fp.dev, github.com/fiberplane. Let's talk more about factories.
Yeah. Okay. These are some links. They're hard to see. I apologize. But if you quickly Google whatever on your phone right now, OpenAI put out a piece on building what they call Symphony. Has anyone heard of Symphony, perhaps? Okay. All right. Symphony is like their take on, so we talked about like, cloud agents start running. The Symphony is their take on like, what is the thing that's waiting and then starts work once there's a ticket. And there's a lot of lessons from that team of like what they learned in building that. And that's basically, we kind of adapted that to our surprise. Like, so we've tried building a lot of flavors of this. And the whole premise of this talk is when you try to do that, you realize how many decisions you have to make. You have to make so many decisions that aren't super interesting. They just reflect your process of how your team works and things like that. If you buy into Paul and Cursor, a lot of those decisions are made for you, and it's very nice. I will be frank, I've not used Cursor a ton in the past like 7 months, and in the past 3 weeks, I've been using it a lot more, in part because of the niceties of like setting up that factory. So that's one thing. Yeah, there's a lot of other posts happening, just of like, how can we make work as autonomous as possible? And it's not quite there. We're getting there. And there's still, still a lot to learn.
I think one background story and sort of movement why people are talking about software factories is also because the models are getting better all the time. So we're now in a position where we could basically, let these models run for days on end, and you won't be doing that, right? Like you're not driving that work that needs to be done autonomously. Yeah. So as Brett said, one factory orchestration components out, the OpenAI Symphony. The interesting thing is that it's actually provided as a spec. So it's just a markdown file, and you can point your Claude or your Cursor to it, and it will, in your favorite programming language, and then implement the spec. They did do an implementation in Elixir. And one of the big things that they discovered is it now enables them basically to do more exploratory work and let the Symphony implementation just run bug fixes. Even entire features can be picked up by Symphony. So that's sort of how it's changed their workflow and organization.
Yeah, is it? Can we make the screen full screen? I realized this is also like not a great chart, and I usually say that. So even if it were big, it's like it's not that good of a chart. But I like it for the idea behind it. What's
somebody Slack needs updating? You like remove.
Anyway, I will explain the chart because everyone likes hearing charts explained instead of seeing charts. So there's 4 boxes, oh, that's my face. Woo! Oh yeah, hero of the evening. Okay, probably still hard to read, so I'm just going to get in front of it so you can't see it. All right, this is before, this is after. Here, it's like before they had Symphony. There's also like, I have thoughts on this chart. It's not a perfect chart. Obvious bug fixes, just ship it off. An agent can do it. But when you get into small bug fixes with non-obvious solutions, then a human starts to intervene. Similarly down here, it's like, okay, there's a well-specified big feature. Still, a human is kind of guiding it along the way. And then obviously for like exploratory work, a human is driving that. So that was kind of before, and now after Symphony, they are comfortable basically handing over small bugs, whether they're non-obvious or obvious, and they're comfortable with well-specified major features, just toss it over. I will also say, I'm very comfortable doing this myself. Exploratory work, still for the humans, thankfully. The kind of asterisk, the little star by this is a team that for like 2 full months, their goal was not to write code. So a lot of us don't have that luxury. Like we still have to write and read some code. And so
infinite tokens.
Or yeah, and also people from the labs. I love it when they talk about things because they're just like, oh yeah, I just spin up like 20 agents in parallel and
It had to like run for 2 weeks.
Yeah, they have infinite tokens and we do not. So that's kind of the caveat of this is like Symfony itself did not make this possible. It's all the engineering effort as soon as you give yourself the challenge of like, we're not going to write code. We're only going to let the agent write code, and we're going to correct it in very programmatic and directed ways when it fails. But yeah, there's a lesson in there. Okay.
Yeah, so pieces that will cover how we're thinking about our software factory. So we mentioned the issue tracker. There's the orchestrator that picks up the work and delegates that to Cursor agents. But we won't be talking about planning, so brainstorming of a feature, the review and verification loop. So that's sort of a separate product that we're working on called EV. And then there's something, of course, around like factory observability. You want to like see the health of your factory and get an understanding of the jobs that get picked up and how long they're taking and if they're being executed or not.
Yeah. So what? Oh, gotta zoom out. What is overlooked a lot, and I hinted at this before, is as soon as you sit down to write something like this, so the driver is typically like linear, somewhere, or maybe Jira, or for us, FP, something that holds like a task or a chunk of work to be done, and it lives there, and you can look at it later. So if you start with that as like, that's where work gets kind of set up, all of a sudden, if you want to design something that like orchestrates that work, you have to be extremely clear on how everyone should file tickets. The first time that I tried to write an orchestrator like this, I realized that the way that I craft tickets is different than the way that Mies crafts tickets. And I made a bunch of assumptions about like, okay, so I have a parent ticket that's like a ton of work to do, and then I have tinier tickets that are smaller chunks of work because it's easier to divide that to agents. And so the orchestrator just got confused, and it didn't know how to like correlate those two or all of those together, how to merge them into a single branch. And so that had to be like that kind of rule or intelligence had to be communicated to the orchestrator.
Yeah, I think like one thing that I ran into when I basically created my own Symfony in Golang, one of the issues was that I've got this parent ticket and I got a bunch of child tickets, and then very nicely the orchestrator picked up sort of all the children, and then it got done, but obviously the parent was still not picked up. So it went up again and started going through the children again. So these are all sort of heuristics that you need to think about as you're sort of developing this orchestration layer.
Okay, so then another thing that gets really confusing. So we talked about it. I think also the Hopper talk touched on this, of like coding work happens in a sandbox. It happens remotely. It happens somewhere in the cloud. In that case, like how do you get code into and out of that sandbox in a secure way? Do you pull it down from GitHub, or is this like you just want it to happen locally on your machine in like a work tree or something like that? Like all these are decisions to make. But the very nice thing is like when I went to build this with Cursor Cloud agents, it was kind of like immediate. Like I could just set an agent on like, this is what I want to do. And it was the fastest that I've gotten to any way of distributing work, because Cursor is already connected to GitHub. So there's no like token wrangling or anything like that. And you just need like a way to bootstrap an environment that your app runs in, and voila. Hey, French. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, like another thing was the how the tasks get merged together. So again, in my case, I had all these children issues being fixed, all implemented, nice in Git work trees. And it's like, now what? How do we smash all of these into one big pull request or not?
Yeah. So yeah, then a final thing is like I said, the issue tracker is kind of a driver of work, but like, is that the interface? Is that the way that everyone has to do? Like, who here is like dispatched coding work from Slack or Telegram or WhatsApp or anything? Show of hands. Yeah. Do you like it? You can nod or show of hands. No. Okay. Yeah. All right. I think I know where you're coming. I'm just going to assume where you're coming from. Felt magical at first because it was in the like, I did it for like the obvious bug fixes stuff when Cursor first released a Slack agent. And I was like, this is amazing. I'm in a taxi. And then as soon as I handed off bigger work, it was just like falling over. And so the magic started to disappear. Yeah, you have to decide like what is the way that you want to start work and track work, and that is another decision to make.
Yeah, maybe one more addition to that is also when the agent finds maybe something that needs to go into the backlog, or another type of bug, like what do you do with that and how does that get treated?
Yeah, if it finds bugs, which it does, finds bugs unrelated to what it's working on, how do you handle that? Okay. Oh yeah, I told you to add this slide. I had big thoughts, and then I slept in a 35-degree Parisian apartment last night, and I don't remember what I wanted to say here. Okay. Yeah. All right. You know what? We've been talking long enough. Skip it.
Yeah, maybe a final thing in terms of heuristics on how to think about the factories, like it's basically a state contract across the tracker or where the work sits, the orchestrator that picks up the work, the implementer, and then of course the human that needs to observe what's going on, and can you actually trust the output?
Yeah. Is this boop boop? Oh,
you also wanted
God, why did I message you at midnight being like, add these slides? Oh yeah, okay, yeah, practical tips. Okay, I realize like a lot of this talk has been kind of abstract, right, so far, and I wanted to add, all right, Cursor has a plugin kit, Paul, if it is plugin kit or something, it's like your set of internal skills. Yeah, all right. Plugins, this is a plug for plugins. Check it out, it's open source, it's on their repo. One of the new skills that they added is called Thermonuclear Code Quality Review. It is excellent, it is top notch. And this is like one of the guardrails you can put on your agent to make sure that like it does not produce garbage. By the way, oh yeah, also pro tip, like I always have it verify what these things, like it's endemic to large language models. They are better at reviewing things than they are at generating things. So like always ship off whatever was generated to another clean slate for review, and then have the original generator like evaluate and verify what should be modified. Thermonuclear code review is great. And then, let's see here. Yeah, another thing, when you are running something in the cloud, because it is so much more autonomous, like I have a very, with Tarmac, which we'll show in a bit, I have a very prescriptive way of working on tickets. It's like 10 steps, and it involves like, okay, first, you got to get the code, install everything. You need to make sure that like nothing is broken, just out the gate. And then you work on the thing, then you review it, then you check that nothing's broken again, and then you like attach screenshots, videos, any form of verification that you can to the ticket. This is also kind of how I work locally most of the time, but I think like once it's in the cloud, you just like, you want as much guardrails as possible to make sure that it works. Yeah, we could do a demo. Yeah.
Put the mic in the thing.
Yep. All right, we go to.
So yeah, this is. Yeah.
Wait, well, yeah, I guess the premise here is that it's not a really good demo.
Well, because it's a factory and you don't see it.
You don't see it. By nature, it's a terrible demo. Also the screen. Okay, the screen contrast, really hard to see. So just imagine whatever you want to see up here. It's
But yeah, so this is basically FP, our issue tracker, and Brett has a bunch of issues.
Yeah.
2 are ready to get to work.
Okay, so there's kind of 2 ways you could do that. Okay, by the way, FP, our issue tracker. Has anyone heard of Pi, the coding harness? Yeah.
Who uses Pi?
Hey,
this guy.
Wow. Just moved to the front row. Okay, Pi. One of their principles is that like the harness is very, very small and very, very hackable. So you write a lot of plugins to make it work how you want. Lau? Oh, you're taking a photo. Okay, Lau back there. He has architected a lot of the guardrails and fun stuff in our products. Heavy Pi user. And he basically stole Pi's, well, not stole, I shouldn't say stole. He took inspiration from Pi's plugin system and then put it in our task manager, which was very much a right call, because now you can add you script against the task manager to make it what you want. In this case, it's hard. Yeah.
So in this case, one of the extensions that I wrote is a Cursor plugin. So yeah, very classic. Hey, you run a ticket, send it to Cursor. Not unfamiliar to what you can do inside of Linear. But this is an extension, just a bunch of TypeScript, and you can make anything that you want. Like another good example is no ticket without acceptance criteria should be added to the system. Like that's another extension that you could build.
Yeah. So in this case, this is why the demo is just like not that good, but it would like help my general self-confidence if everyone acted really impressed by what's about to happen. Okay, here we go. This is a field. It's hard to read. It says ready for tarmac. And right now it says not ready. And I'm going to click ready. That's the demo. Thank you. Thank you. Yeah.
But what happens in the background?
Oh, no. Okay, I was afraid of this. I was modifying a bunch of stuff before coming here. So this, wait, refusing real cursor with local head does not remote. Oh, okay.
It's Cursor's fault. Paul?
No, it was, there we go. It's running. Okay. Okay. All right, this will take a second. Okay. All right, so it's really hard to see. There's one eligible ticket to get picked up. This is, okay, so what's happening here, this is kind of like a little orchestrator that's running Cursor agents. You could deploy this wherever you want. All it does is just pull for open tickets and then pick them up. In this case, it just, I hope, yeah, so it just picked up the ticket right here that we marked as ready. Very good demo. We can monitor what's going on in Cursor. And right now it just set up the environment. It's going to work through it. And the reason this is hard to demo as well is that like we're not going to wait 10 minutes for it to finish. So in that case, I can show some work that I did a little bit ago. So the dashboard, right? We saw it. Terrible. That's a terrible dashboard. It doesn't look good. So what I did, oh, this is a pro tip. Okay, Codex native app has access to ChatGPT images. And when I'm lazy, where's this? Is this redesign? Oh, wait, tarmac. No, tarmac. There we go. I asked it. So ChatGPT images 2, if you want a quick mock-up that looks beautiful. So like the Codex, terrible at UI, or not that bad, but like not that good. If you ask for an image of a UI and ask it to implement it, very good. So in this case, I asked it just to make what a more beautiful dashboard would look like and ground it in reality. And then I set off that agent. Oh, I have the nice labels of dashboard and UI so I can find it. And it did this long run right here and then created a PR that I've yet to merge. And okay, another thing, this is a Cursor plug, is it's kind of annoying to attach images via the CLI to a GitHub pull request. Like you have to work around it in a lot of ways. I think one workaround is like you create a release and then attach an image to that and then embed it in your pull request. This is if your agent is like using the CLI to attach images to things. Pleasant surprise from using Cursor is that they have like, you can upload artifacts from your agent run. So it just links to those. And these are like actual snapshots of the redesigned dashboard that it created for me to review on my PR. And also it did a mobile version for some reason. That's great. So yeah, this is a chaotic demo of things happening.
Yeah. But I think it also summarizes well a bit on like how the factory works. So spin up work based on a ticket, use a remote agent to do the work, and then some evidence that shows you that it worked or not. Any questions?
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Go.
He came to the front row.
Take it away. No, that's very interesting. You mentioned factories. I think the first people talking about that was Steve Yagi, and one of the most people that maybe. But what is different from Beats or Gaston, for example? Well, I think Yagi has.
So, I mean, okay, for the audience, he mentioned Steve Yagi, who, if you have not read the blog post on Gastown and then Gas City, that's great. I don't even know how to classify it. It's like cyber. It's a lot. It's a lot. But he talked. It's basically. I heard one person put it as, "This guy is solving problems I didn't know I had." What is different than this and Gastown? Okay, Gastown has like all of these different agents with roles that work in, so it is like a dark factory. It's one implementation of a dark factory. This is another implementation of a dark factory. That is more specific to how we want to work, I guess. That would be the short answer. Long
Okay.
answer, we can talk after.
Okay, and also about Beats, maybe it's slightly different, but
yeah,
because I like to use Beats in my day-to-day work because I don't like to like Jira or Linear. I prefer to use this kind of tool because I want to keep me focused on my laptop.
Yep.
And I don't want to use this kind of UI.
Okay, yeah, so perfect. So he referenced Beads, which was also created by Steve Yecke. Beads is a task manager very similar to FP. Different take. So the UI optional. It's a CLI. It was created as a CLI first. You don't necessarily need a UI. You can still script against it. We don't have a TUI, but one of our users built a TUI based off the CLI output. I think the difference is a little bit of I don't know how stable Beads is now.
1.0 don't more than
okay.
1.0, pretty stable.
It's I'll try to do a short answer. Steve Yecke made some decisions, and those decisions compounded over time into what is like a task management monstrosity. Yeah, the biggest difference is like if you want custom properties in Beads or anything else, you are writing manual SQL into that like SQLite database, and I don't know how that works with sync, which I know has been fragile.
It's not. It's yes and no, because no, the 1.0 it's more and more better than before, because it used the Dolt server.
Yeah,
and that's quite good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's just different. No, I don't. I just
right?
want to know it's different. I know I'm not a big fan of Tizegi. I like what you do because I think it open a bridge and it's interesting. I understand some people don't like it, but I think it's interesting.
Yeah, no, it definitely is, and there was a lot of parallel thinking going on around that time. I think a couple of months ago, where people are sort of on this path, right? Like the task manager is a great input for a factory. I think from our end, it's like hackability, and thinking more about different primitives that make up the factory and plugging these together, and you can pick which one you like and maybe bring your own on a different component. I think that's sort of our perspective.
Thank you very much.
Yeah. Thanks for asking the question.
Over there.
Can I ask a question? As a non-engineer, what's the fastest way to onboard to AI agents in 1 week? Like what would you use?
What do you want to do?
To be a deployment strategist.
What kind of deployment?
It's ERP systems deployment. So it's like an
ERP?
agent. Yeah, it's an agents which mirror how the ERP work. So they kind of like mirror the SAP work.
Yeah.
With an agent, and there is a role as a deployment strategist for this type of company.
Okay.
What would you use?
Fastest way? I don't know. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not. That's a little outside of my world.
Yeah, I think like so. It's probably going to be an agent which takes the information from the invoices, for example, the addresses shipped to, shipped from, and then it's gonna decide which information is key to put into the SAP system, and then it's gonna also call the CRM system, whatever the company is, to extract the client info. to identify the priority of the client and how to prioritize the shipments, for example, by size or by value and by location, proximity, I guess.
I think honestly, this feels a bit like Claude Cowork or some kind of automation that you want to set up.
Yeah.
Versus maybe building a complete agent from scratch.
So yeah, there is a company which built an automation for this. And right now I'm joining the company which wants to do the same thing with agents. And I don't really understand how.
Well, congratulations on joining the company.
This is live streamed, by the way. But get
All
an
right,
engineer
yeah.
to help.
Last question, and then I think we should go.
Yeah, so earlier today, well, tonight, from Cursor, what's your name again?
Paul.
Paul? Yeah.
Paul Atreides.
Yeah, Paul was thinking about like the fourth step, like in agentic automation. So which would be like to have a full AI engineer team basically working, or like full team, whatever, AI engineer, whatever. Anyway, so basically I think what you are doing is, of course, going towards that. Me, with that idea of like a AI engineering team, like how do you manage permissions? Like, and maybe how do you assign permissions? And do you do that currently, or do you work on that?
Yeah, this is another like favorite engineer response is it depends. It's going to matter a lot more at large organizations with lots of like tools and crossover and things like that. We have a lot of leverage in being 3 engineers and a pretty like well-baked, well-rounded like product surface area. I think for managing permissions, there's a lot of companies that can help with that. I think the whole concept of like an MCP gateway that forgetting your name, but Hopper, Alan, talk to him.
Fair enough. Thank you.
Yeah, maybe a few bits to add. Obviously there's permissions in different products, right? Like in Cursor or like spinning up the agents, there's a permission level there. On GitHub, where the code lives, there's a permission level there. But I do think it's a super good question. Like as you're sort of, connecting all these boundaries, like, yeah, what needs to happen, right? And it could very well be that it might be a separate third-party security layer that needs to get checked maybe via MCP on if you are allowed when you spin up an agent inside of Slack that goes through GitHub, goes through Cursor, and actually to do that, right?
Yeah, because that's obviously, I think, the main issue towards that fourth step, I think right now is.
Yeah, and I think especially as your company grows or like your large-scale enterprise, this is a big problem.
Yeah, thank you.
All right. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Well, I think now it's time for drinks and pizza. So we have some members from the Cursor team there. So if you have any question around Cursor, agents, background engines in general, automations, just feel free to ask any question you may have. And you can enjoy some pizza and drinks. And thanks again to Alan for hosting the event.